afternoon. What have I got for this week? I wrote it down in my book. What have I done with my book? No, don't know. It's under a pile of stuff. Anyway, things that I've been excited about this week. I had a little moan last week, I think, about this. This is the Cult Pen swatch book, and I'm normally quite impressed with Cult Pen stuff, but this book, which is for swatching all your inks out in, and the first ink that I put in it, and I wasn't that heavy, but when you swatch things, the intent is that you are fairly hefty with it in some places, and it bled through. It doesn't seem to have bled through the other ones I've put in so far, but because I was disappointed with that, I got this, which I've put some scuffs on the front of it already. This is the Dominant Industry archive book, which sounds very dry and boring, but it actually isn't. This is the Log of Atlantis version. I'm fervently hoping that Father Christmas brings me the other version, the Log of Elixir. It's not a dry, boring book for putting swatches in like this. Make sure I don't drop it in my water bowl. This is literally a couple of... Oh, that's not showing up, it's too bright. A couple of ink bottle drawings on each page, some dot grid for you to write on, some little splats for working out drying time, swatch number. You know, it's pretty sparse. It does what it says on the tin-ish. This, on the other hand, this is beautiful. This gives you multiple pages of beautiful illustrations broken down in a variety of ways for you to colour in with the inks you have. You are not tied to any one brand in here. Stick all your inks in. And you don't just get one crack at these illustrations either. They're repeated several times. At least twice, possibly 3 times. And on each page, some bits will be highlighted on the other page. In most cases, not every case. There's a lot of freedom to use this in whatever way you want to. So this is what I did on the sofa the other night. I think it's brilliant. It gives you place to try out all your inks. It gives you a little bit of structure to base that on, but it also gives you plenty of freedom to fill it in however you want. And I really like that. Yeah. So as you can see, hang on, where's that one just gone? I've just seen it. You can have several, there's the whales again. So you can have several goes. And then when you turn to the back, that was one thing that disappointed me. I don't know if that's showing up. You can just about see a stain from the ribbon that was on the inside. So that's my only... Not best pleased with that bit. So you go through the images. I think you get 3 goes. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3. And then this latter part of the book, you get a blank page, which you could use. You could use the Dominant Industry stamps on those. You could do your own illustrations. So that's really nice. And then when you get to the back, you get a more standard swatch archive. So I've filled in. I was not procrastinating from work. I'm currently waiting for my client to come back to me with any tweaks on my job. I was not fiddling about. And I resent any implication that I may have been. So there we go. And I've just discovered an ink that I'd forgotten to put in here, so I'll show you that, even though that's not what we were doing today. And then I'll get to the other thing that I'm excited about. Right, that's the Robert Oster page. Ooh, sneaky peek of what we're doing. Another sneaky peek. Let's just have a little look at this one. This is Robert Oster Graphite, which I think I got because this one will separate out into different colours when you get it wet with water. So that's quite nice. So I won't put you through me writing all the sort of stuff, all the details down in here. I'll do that later. But I am going to demonstrate that this does that in this swatch so that I remember for later. Watch it not do it on this page now. So this shows the blue in this quite nicely. I'll have to set this aside for that to do its magic. But anyway, you get the idea. And since we've got the Cult Pens version to hand, I'll pop this in there as well, and we'll see if it leaks through or not. And then I'll get on with what I was supposed to be doing. What else have I done this week? Nothing grippingly exciting. Had another week of builders not showing up. And now my trusty handyman is also not showing up. Don't know what's happened to him. Right. I'll have to check and see if his legs fell off. Could happen. Let's get a bit more ink there. It's a bit watery, that. My bridge fell out, my dental bridge. That was great. I'll have to glue that back in again. Because who can afford dentists? Especially with my expensive tastes in ink and paint. I can't afford dentists. Who needs teeth when you've got pretty paints, huh? Right, I put the lid back on that before we have an accident, because if I show you my hands, can we see the delay? Look, it's all up my arm. I'm basically a 46-year-old pig pen. Truly. It looks like it's just about coming through, but only just. Yeah. I'm not overly impressed, Cult Pens. I think you could do better. I don't think that's up to your normal standards. But, you know. It wasn't expensive, I'll give them that. It was £7.50, £6.50, something like that. Anyway, what we are really going to talk about, amongst other things. Oh, I have to give a shout out to, I want to give a shout out to a couple of other channels actually. Illustrations by Pete. What a top bloke. You are an absolute sweetie. If you haven't seen Illustrations by Pete's videos, go and have a look. I will put his link in the description. But yeah, he is a fantastic artist, and his brain runs very differently to mine, and that makes me think, and it fires me up with ideas, and it's great. And he's a really top bloke, so you know, it might sound grumpy, but he's not. He's lovely. But while we're calling out fantastic channels, if you're a bit shy of starting, or you don't quite know where to start with paint, then the two top lasses that I think are brilliant are Andrea Nelson Art and Rebel Unicorn Crafts. And no, they are not the same person, but yes, they are friends, and they are both absolutely brilliant, particularly at very achievable exercises that you can have a crack at, that you won't be intimidated by, and that will give you nice results. So do go, stop watching this one. Actually no, wait till the end, then go and look at their channels, because if you haven't already seen them, which you probably have, they are brilliant. Anyway, I went to great lengths to get hold of this. This is Sakura Poster Colors. I didn't even know that Sakura did paint until I knew that they did a watercolour range. I don't actually know if they make it themselves or somebody else makes it for them, because it looks like it's packaged very similarly to other stuff I've seen on Temu. But as a brand, they have been around a long time, and I use their pens all the time. I have millions of them. I'm probably not more than 3 inches away from a Sakura product in my house. But I'd never seen these, and I also did not have a Sakura sketchbook, so I've got one. And I thought, what can I compare this against? And I did look at Nika Poster Colors, but to get a decent range is quite a lot of money for me in the UK. These were imported from Malaysia, because these are forbidden. They're forbidden paints. They aren't available in the UK. And I did ask Sakura, and they just don't sell them on the UK market. So I went, these cost me more to import than the actual paints cost. So we won't be doing that very often. Anyway, fortunately the sketchbook did not cost a fortune. And I have succumbed to the Himi Gouache, because I don't have anything that is really comparable or fair to compare. I've got Holbein Gouache, and I've got some Shinhan, and some Winsor & Newton. But they are high-end artist grade, and these are budget student grade, and I don't really think it's useful or fair to compare artist grade to student grade, really. It's, you know, it was an excuse to buy the Himi. I did see this on Tesco Marketplace and it was under 20 quid, and this is the 36 colour set. So let's have a look at the Himi first, because it is open, and please be very grateful that I sat here for 30 minutes opening all of these, because I will tell you now, these little jelly pots are not convenient or easy to open. And look, I mean, that all that's happened to that is it's been moved from my desk to my side table, and I've already got paint all over the inside of that. So I don't think that's overly convenient. I actually think that's really quite messy, and now I'm going to have to find something to wipe that up with. Oh look, I have some kitchen roll to hand. That is the reason that my arms, my hands, my boobs, my front of my shirt, my desk and everything is covered in gouache at the minute. And yes, it stains a lot. So yeah, I've got an orange thumb. Yeah, so we've got that. The other thing that I thought I'd try out today, because where was I shopping and they had them? I can't remember. It might have been the journal shop. Might not have been. How do you pronounce this name? Coom? That. Go on, how do you say that? Because in my world, that's rude. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Let's pop that out of the way. I have actually got a palette out, and that one's a bit big. So it's a bit large, and it's a bit not very convenient, I think. I only heard of Himi a couple of years back, and they appear to be super duper mega popular. I see quite a lot of people treating these as if these are an artist grade paint, and they are not, and they do not pretend to be. They've taken the craft and viral influencer world a bit by storm, but these are a budget product aimed at Chinese art students doing intensive exams where they are painting very quickly for very long periods, and they want to be able to slap paint on thick and not worry about it. And you know, for what they were designed for, I think they're probably brilliant, but be under no illusion that these are not artist grade paints, no matter how many people rave about them. They have a low pigment to binder filler ratio, which is why they are cheap, and I think these work out. I did look at a calculation, but these are about 50p a mil, whereas whole bean is about £11.50 a mil. I will have to check that, because I might be talking rubbish, but I will double check it and put it in the description. So, you know, if you're expecting whole bean and Winsor & Newton designer, you're not going to get it. You know, you're just not. Anyway, enough of the waffle. We have got a scrap of paper. Where's my scrap of paper? These are the colours that you get. You get a little slip that tells you what colours. I will say there is room in here to put decent sized brushes in, which is quite nice. But I'm not thrilled. My fingers actually hurt from opening those, and that isn't because I'm some sort of wimp. What have we got? 36 colours. You can buy replacement jelly pots, and I think you can buy them where they're the same colour, where they fill the same space, but they're one pot rather than twin. Yeah. So you don't have to replace the whole set if you love them, you know. And if you do love them, then that's fine. Don't be put off by me being a snob. You know. Some of these colours are normal colour names like ultramarine and Prussian blue, and some of them aren't. So that might not matter to you. And I wouldn't expect that they're light fast particularly, because I don't think that they were ever designed to be. Also, I haven't bought the special Himi moisturising spray. Just get some distilled water and drop some tea tree in it or some clove oil in it and give it a shake and spray it with that. Because nobody needs to buy a bottle of distilled water with essential oil in it when you can make it yourself for a lot cheaper. Anyway, I'm also not going to make you sit through me swatching out this whole tray. There are probably thousands of videos of people swatching out these paints. So we're not doing that. If you want to see that, though, somebody else will undoubtedly do that. I'm just going to have a waffle at you while I try and paint something with these direct from the tube, from the pots. Yeah, that is quite thick and a bit sticky. Let's try letting it down a bit with some water. Put it in there. I get really fussy about my paint palettes getting messed up, and I don't mind particularly with the watercolours, because you can take a damp tissue and wipe the top off, but you can't do that with a pot full of near liquid paint. So I'm a bit, I don't know. Anyway, I'm trying to go for a sort of Ghibli style bush thing-ish. And I am not the greatest gouache artist in the world, I must confess. So I understand the principle that we should start off thin and work our way to thicker. The fat over lean principle. I think oil painters do that too. But yeah, I don't know. I really like it for the matte finish, and I scan and digitize a lot of work, so that's great. And I like the layering capabilities, the fact that you can work from dark to light and back again, because when you work producing work for other people and you have to send them your work, and then they say, oh, I like this, I like that, I don't like that bit, can you change that bit? You need to be able to change that bit. And if you're working in watercolour where you have to work light to dark, you have very little opportunity for changing it. Whereas if you're working in gouache, or if you're working digitally, if you're working in acrylic, you know, you can go forward and back between them to a certain extent. It is drying quickly. It's drying very quickly. While that bit dries, let's have a look at these Sakura colours. I don't know a huge amount about these. These have been around a long time, and then I think, as the branding on this box tells you, yeah, that looks very sort of 1980s to me. I don't think this actual pack has been around since the 1980s. Well, I hope not. Yeah, so they come in these squeezy plastic tubes, which I personally think is a lot more convenient than the jelly pots. Anyway, what colours have we got? Black, blue, purple, Prussian blue. Yeah, that blue is cobalt blue. I can't read that. My old person's eyes aren't like light green. Could have seen that from the top. Green, white, lemon yellow, burnt sienna, vermilion, carmine, and pale orange. Okay. If we're trying to paint two similar things. Now, is this going to come out separated, or is it going to come out alright? Oh, I'm doing it again, that thing where I'm putting my arm across the camera, sorry. One day I'll get organised. Oh, I've just thrown my squirty bottle of water on the floor. I'm not going to start mixing these just yet. I want to see what this is like at full thickness before I start mixing. It's a bit less sticky. Alright, let's try letting it down with a bit of water. It's a bit of an unfair comparison because it is also quite a different colour. Yeah, it's a bit less sticky than the Himi. I think that's a bit, I don't know. That feels more pigmented than I was expecting for this stuff. Make sure I don't dip in the wrong box here, because that would be very easy to do. I think that's getting a bit thin. What else can I have a rant about? I did write everything down in my book. Not a script, I'm not that organised, but I did write stuff down. Yeah, right. Now then, the first one's dry. So I'm gonna go and put in. That is really dark, that green. I bet I've put that down too thickly and that's gonna lift a bit. It's not quite dry. We just take it off screen and flap it around. Let's see if that's helped any. A bit. How much lighter are we going? Let's go for another. These pots did have the names written on the front, but when I peeled them off, we'll put that one in there. Yeah. And so this is full thickness. I want to see how opaque this is over the dark green, and the answer is not as opaque as I was hoping for, in all honesty. Yeah, I wanted that a bit more opaque than that, really. It's also it's not going over very smoothly at full thickness. And I don't want to put too much on the brush and get it really thick, because I want to do a couple more layers than this. But I also don't naturally want to put loads on the brush, because I'm not used to doing that, because I use watercolour more often. So it's a bit hard to see how opaque this is, and then when I'm going over the area I've just done, it's trying to lift a little bit. Let's add a bit more water into it and see if it's better. It's a bit streaky. It's definitely not feeling like my whole beans, or even the shin hands. Very patchy. I don't think that's me not letting the layer underneath dry. I think that's just what it's like. Yeah, clean brush, come on, clean brush. Yeah, let's get a bit more, let's make it a little bit wetter, see if that helps. And I might try a bit of wet in wet since it is wet. Let's try and mix those two together. See what we get. Somewhere in between. Yeah, I think I've started out too thick. I don't know. Let's try a swipe of that mix. It's not. Yeah, it's quite chalky. I don't really think I like that very much. We'll let that dry and come back to it. Let's not give up on it straight away, because there's a good chance a lot of my not liking it is me not using it properly. Let's go back to, we're going to have to mix some of this because we've only got 12 colours here, so I'll get that one out, and I'll get that one out, and I'll get that one out, and I think we'll get that one out. I'll pop that away again. We'll have a look at the sketchbook in a minute as well. I quite like these little tubes. I think they're quite nice. Right, let's put a bit of green in there. I'd be a bit mean with these because the chances of me buying any more of these is pretty much nil, unless Sakura suddenly decide that they are going to sell to the UK market. And they haven't done so far, and they have been around a long time, so I think that's unlikely. Put the blue in there. These all seem to be a pretty uniform consistency. Which I definitely cannot say the same for the Himi. That was a lot more variable is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, some of them squirted straight out of the tubes, the tubs, when I tried to open them. Some of them didn't. Some of them have got a film of binder on the top. Some of them haven't. Some seem really runny and some seem really thick. So, I don't know. I want some of that a bit darker. Oh, I don't want to drop water on it either. Come here. little water drop. I've got it written in my book, which I now can't find, that I was going to have a little rant about AI. And also, keyed into that was why I've started the channel. So, I didn't start the channel to get millions of followers. Now, I don't obviously want some followers, because otherwise I'm talking to myself. And that's, you know, or to my knitted frog, wherever he is. Where is he? Here he is. I'm just talking to a knitted frog, and that's not a good thing for well, anyone really. Anybody over the age of about 10. I'm already doing all this stuff, and I'm curious about this stuff, and I want to try things out. So I figured I might as well try it out on camera. I already spend a lot of time. Ooh, that's a nice mix. Look at that. That's pretty. That's the blue, the Prussian blue and the dark green together. Just put a smidgen more green in that. Yeah, I'm already doing a lot of this stuff, so I might as well do it on camera. I mean, share it with you all instead of just randomly posting photos of what I've done on my Facebook to my Facebook friends, who are in the majority dog trainers, not artists. This seemed like a good idea at the time, as do many of the things I have done in my life. Yeah, but I also want to encourage more people to try things out and do more art, and one of the reasons for that is there's the rise in AI. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan in terms of generating images, or generating writing. Generating things that humans should be generating. And if someone shares something that they believe to be real, but is in fact AI, I will point it out, because you have to have a bit of an eye for spotting it, and not everybody does. And it freaks me out, I'll be honest. It's a bit... Have you ever had those dreams where you're having a dream and it all seems wonderful and nice, and then suddenly you realise that things are just a little bit off in a kind of an icky way? That, for me, that's what AI is like, particularly the images and videos. Anyway, yeah, I think we should create stuff ourselves, and we are going down a very slippery route where you can't believe what's real anymore, and what has been generated. But also, AI generated art, in inverted commas, is stealing work from real artists, and I very much dislike that. I really do. And I think we need to create more, and I think one of the best ways to combat it is to create more. So yeah, as long as you're not... I've seen people accidentally use stuff, like particularly people who were looking for reference images, and I know that a lady who I follow who is involved in the dog industry did it the other day. She bought a package of images. She'd specified that she wanted genuine images, no AI, and one of the images supplied in the package that she'd paid for was AI, and she didn't know that. And fair enough, that's a genuine mistake. It's not her fault. It is the fault of whoever is submitting images to image libraries and labelling them as genuine when they're not. And whoever sold it without fully checking, you know, whoever's got that platform that isn't checking properly and is selling people packages of stuff. I use Pixabay and Pexels and all kinds of things, and even when you specify that you only want genuine images, frequently you will get AI. And you have to be pretty skilled at, I mean, that sounds really stupid, pretty skilled at looking, but you do. And not everybody is, and that isn't their fault. If you're not used to looking for specific key details, then you may not notice it. And, you know, not everybody's got the same skills at looking and observing and differentiating. Like, I'm an insect nerd as well. I go on loads of insect sites. This is going right down the rabbit hole now. People will post a picture of an insect and go, oh, it's one of them. And to me, whatever they've said it is nothing like the image that's in front of me. But, you know, it's brown, it's got 6 legs. It's identical to something else that's brown and got 6 legs. I can identify, you know, a hornet mimic hoverfly from a hornet. But somebody else, they look identical to them because they're not practiced and educated at identifying the subtle differences. And why would you be? You know, if that's not your job, if that's not something that massively interests you, why would you have that skill? No, nobody does. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, if you have accidentally picked up an AI image not knowing that it was an AI image, it's an accident, it's a mistake, it's not a crime. But if you are generating AI images when you could find an artist and use them, or license already existing genuinely produced art, then yeah, you're a bit of a bum eyes, mate. Make friends with an artist. Make friends with an artist, and frequently if you need a little doodle doing, a lot of artists will entertain you for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. You know, I mean, I will. Maybe that's because I'm cheap, but they will. They would rather do that than you go spending money to remove all of the water from several states of the US or something, or anywhere that AI centres are being made. Anyway, where we'll be getting to, I'm going to add some light stuff to this. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here because this hasn't dried, but I do want to see how it is wet in wet. Let's come up here a bit. I should really be focusing on where my light source is and how that's all working, and I'm not, because I'm wittering. Because I'm a champion witterer. I think that would be better if I did that when it was dry, really, but we've started now, so let's get a little bit more yellow in that. See if it'll go over. I want to see what that looks like when it dries, because does it dry lighter or darker? That Himi is dried light but streaky, where I've put it over the dark, so that's not... I really should be paying more attention here. That is a bit wrong. Why would there be a light bit that far down? That's silly. Silly M's. Anyway, irritatingly, I am preferring the Sakura product that I can't get any more of versus the Himi that is dropping in price. And that, as I say, that was Tesco Marketplace for under 20 quid, which surprised me because these are 30 quid in Hobbycraft, if Hobbycraft still have any stock left, which they may not do by now. Yeah, let's just see how thin it will go before it starts looking ropey, and I'll do the same with the Himi, because I've not done very much actual experimenting with this because I've been wittering. Do have a witter in the comments and tell me which, I don't know if you'll get booted for spamming, but who do you really like to watch? Let me know. Maybe you found somebody I haven't. Despite the fact that we now watch more YouTube than we do telly. Oh, I know who I was going to mention. And it's not an art channel at all. I mean, it's craft based. Samson Boat Company. It's incredible. I love it for the cinematic videos of sea scenes, because he's obviously sailing his boat now, and there is a lot of really inspiring sunsets over the horizon, sea, whales, rocks, trees, islands. Oh, it's delicious. But it's the journey of Leo Goulden, who took a boat that was basically firewood, and he bought it for $1, and he spent 7 years turning it into an actual boat that goes. And he's currently, right this very minute, in the process of sailing it from the US to the UK. Fingers crossed. Yeah. So it's an amazing achievement, and testament to one man's absolute determination and doggedness that he was going to achieve this goal, because honestly, he initially thought that he could refurbish the boat but in fact it ended up with almost a total rebuild, and it's incredible. Yeah. Now that's dried a little bit, so yeah, go and have a look at the Samson Boat Company. That if you want a bit of inspiring scenery, he's your man. Apart from being a brilliant boat builder, he is absolutely brilliant at making videos. Yeah. Just trying to loosen that up again and see how it moves. That is patchy. Now I did those two samples exactly the same way, as far as I'm aware. Let them down, spread them out. That one is nice and smooth and even. That one is patchy and meh, really. Since I've got that dark dry patch there, let's try putting this green over it. That's very, very yellowy. I mixed it that way, it's not that the green looks yellow over that blue. And let's go for a thicker bit as well. I should have made a bigger patch really. I wonder if it's lifting a little, but not too badly. Bearing in mind that wasn't pure yellow that I got out of that palette in the first place. Yeah, let's have a look at a couple of the other colours while I wait for things to dry. I'm not going to put it in the palette because I've run out of room. Let's just get a little bit on the brush. That is very vibrant. I was not expecting such vibrancy from such a product. Not at all. What about this purple? I do like a good purple. And so far none of these seem to have split and separated either. And you would usually tell because the binder will come out first. No. Now purples can be a bit... Some of the pigments used for various purples, some of the violet pigments can be a bit weak. But that's quite nice. Behaving how I expected. I don't get any pigment information on here, of course. I wouldn't expect to. So that was the vermilion. This is the pale orange. Number 7, if anyone's interested. Put that down a bit thicker. Oh, I can see making skin tones out of that. Yeah. I'll come back to these when they've dried. Let's just try that red. And we'll see how much they lift. Right, let's put that down thick. Thick, thick, thick. Yep. Ooh, yes. What was it? This is carmine, and that is what I would expect carmine to look like actually. Very pink when you dilute it down. Yeah, well that makes me think of cherry blossoms. Very nice. The handsome assistant's going to be furious with me because now I'm going to try and look for a bigger set. If a bigger set exists, and I'm actually not sure it does. The person selling this did have a bigger set, but I'm pretty certain the bigger set just came with two whites and 2 blacks instead of 1 white and 1 black. Which is why I got the 12 set, not the 15 set. I'll have to email Sakura again and they'll probably tell me to go away. Like, you don't need that information because we don't sell that product in your country. Please leave us alone now. But I will. I'll annoy them on your behalf. That's what I'll tell them. Shall we compare... What's it, that one? I think that's a comparable purple. Yeah, that's just... It just don't feel as nice. I don't know if that's coming across on the camera, but it just does not feel as nice. It feels more grainy and patchy and... Yeah. I don't know. Have we got a blue to compare against this blue here? That was the Prussian blue, wasn't it? Oh no, it was my mix of green and Prussian blue. I think we have got a comparable one actually. Right, gone straight in. No, that's not that comparable. My bad. Yeah, it is. It's just stickier. The feel under the brush is just not as nice and streakier. Let's wet it out. This is not a heavily textured paper either. I'm not making it work extra hard by using a super duper textured paper. But it's not. This is Canson de Roy, Canson Moulin de Roy paper. So that's just not. It's just not as smooth. I don't know. Has that dried enough to put some more light coloured stuff on it? A little bit, nearly. It is drying out a little bit on the palette, but I would expect it to. I mean, it's, you know, it is what it is. It wets up easy enough. I would probably benefit from getting a thinner brush here, but you know, I've given up trying to paint a credible looking bush. I'm just trying to see what happens if we go over the dark. I might get some white and mix it with the green and see if we can get a really light green. Oh, that's jumped out of the tube. Hang on, I've got to tidy that up a bit. I can't be doing with a messy tube, putting the lid back down on a messy tube. That's just, it's wrong, people. So what are these, what size are these? 12mm these tubes. So there's the same amount in this tube as there is in the pot. But that pot is split between two colours. I think that's right. Where did I put, oh, I've put the lid underneath. I can't look at the lid and see if it clarifies, sorry. Mixes up nicely and quickly. Right. Yeah, that's potentially that's the worst bush I've ever painted in my life. Let's just see what that colour looks like. See, look, that's pretty, isn't it? I didn't add any water to this. That's just with the wet brush. Didn't add any extra, and that's got quite a good coverage. Right, getting too hot again. For some reason, my house just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. Let's have a look at the sketchbook before everybody loses the will to live, because you know that's likely. What have we got? Does it tell us what paper? Now I don't think this is 100% cotton. Does it tell us what it is? Perfect for Sakura products: ink, pencil, oil pastel, charcoal. And it tells you that in multiple languages. It comes with a pen holder and an expandable pocket on the back. Sakura also own Royal Talons, by the way. In case you didn't know that. I didn't know that till I started doing some research. And the nice person that emailed me back from Sakura recommended I try the Royal Talons gouache, which I haven't yet, but I might at some point. Yeah. So, it comes with the standard elastical doodad around the front. We will take the bit of paper off it. It's got its branding on the front. A lot of sketchbooks have the brand doodad on the back, which annoys me. I think it should be on the front. We've got creamy coloured paper. Now, did I choose that on purpose, or did I just not notice that it was creamy coloured paper? I don't know. It's very smooth. Very smooth paper. Very nice. We've got the standard ribbon to indicate, has the ribbon left a stain on the page? No. That's what page it was on. No stain. Good. Very good. And yes, there is indeed a little pocket. I don't know what you use that for. I don't use those, but someone can tell me what they use that for. It's a bit padded. It feels really nice quality, and I do like a nice sketchbook. At some point I'm going to have to get my Lucetti sketchbooks out. and actually make a mark in them, because that is what they are for. The first 2 pages are stuck together, which irritates me, but is quite common. We might as well try some of this in here, since we have it right next to us. And it didn't really... Did it say? It didn't say gouache, did it? No. Pencil, ink, oil pastel, charcoal. Don't know that I'd use charcoal on this paper. It's really smooth. It is nice to put gouache on. I do like a smooth paper with gouache. I don't know what I'm painting. It's just a shape. I wouldn't want to get too wet, because I don't think the paper's going to have it if we let things get too goopy. But what happens if you put really thin wet into really thin? It does bloom a little bit. That's alright. It's a good test of the opacity of this paper, actually. This is still Sakura here, because we can see the cream colour of the paper. Yeah, it's pretty nice. It is starting to buckle there a little bit because it's not designed for wet media. I want to hold that against it. Let's put some of the Himi on there as well. Let's go over some colours that I haven't tried yet. So just in the time that I've been sat talking, the tops of these have started to dry off quite a lot. This is better on a very smooth paper, I'll give it that. Let me get flat. I don't really want to do a really wet wash on this because it's just going to buckle. See, I'm trying to work out the brush lines, which with a decent gouache I would be able to do, but that's still going grainy on here. I really thought that graininess... Can we see that graininess? I thought that graininess was down to the texture of the watercolour paper, but I don't think it is. I do think it is the paint. I want a wide flat brush. Where's the brushes that I actually bought for gouache? Who knows where they went? Are they in here somewhere? I don't want that one, that's too big. There we go. What are these brushes? Rosa. These are the Rosa Gallery brushes that I think are better for gouache. Let's have a different colour. What's a pretty? That's a pretty colour, that lilac. Still rather streaky. It doesn't want to move with the wetness that was already in the brush. I can see thicker patches just sort of jiggling back and forth rather than blending out. Hang on, I can't get to my clean water because that's in the way. This is the thing I don't like about gouache. Your water gets muckied up really quickly. And the muck, I think probably the binder, it doesn't sink to the bottom of your water pot quickly. Yeah, what should we try now? Let's try going... Yeah, that's not actually dry yet. Let's try going over this with some white. So if you slap it on really thick, then that is better. But I don't want to slap the initial layers on really thick, because when I come back to layer over the top, it's going to lift. And I'll go back and have a look at the other one in a minute, actually, see how that lifted. In fact, I'll put a thick layer on this one. What shall we pick? Let's pick this darker. Don't know if it's meant to be a purple or a blue. I'll just whack it down here. It does want a stiffer brush, I think, as well. The brush is too soft, it just won't move the paint around the page. It's still streaky. Yeah. Right, let's put that to one side. Let's get our other bit again. We'll put a thick bit down to let it dry. It's quite hard to do that because, of course, as you spread it out trying to get it even, it thins out. And it's quite hard to get it out your brush too. Let's have a different brush again for trying to lift. Let's have this one. Right. Where were we? These two are definitely, and that one, and that one. Right. Let's give it a sec. Give it a fair chance. No. I've got a feeling that the paper's just going to start going fuzzy if I try. That does not. It is coming up a little bit, but it does not want to lift. That's the watered down wash. Let's try on this heavy one. Yeah, that's lifting straight away, look. Yeah, we've lifted that top layer. And if we go over it 2 more times, 3 more times, we're getting that bottom layer coming up. Is that actually on camera? Let me bring that up here. I should really zoom in a bit more actually. We see that. So it stains, but if you put it down thick it lifts. Now I would expect all gouache to do that to some extent, but how much it does that. Let's do the same test. So wet brush, straight through the middle of this rubbish bush. And that's lifted a little. Now let's go back through it. Yep. I'd say they're probably about even on lifting. But I could get a much more even thin layer underneath that wasn't patchy with the Sakura, which I couldn't with the Himi. Again, this may be that I am bad at gouache, but let's try lifting this. This is the Sakura here. Again, thin. That it is lifting just about, but it doesn't really want to. I'm having to really push that. Let's try this thin. This is the Himi again. Yeah, it is lifting. I'd say that's lifting more than the Sakura. Aye, right, let's go back to the other sketch pad. See if it's dried at all. I don't want to get this paper too wet and mess with it too much because we're asking it to do what it's not really designed for. What shall we do to it? Let's use a different brush again. Let's use this one. Let's try Himi over a darker colour. Yeah, it's going down. How many times can I swipe across it before we start lifting the colour? About 3 times, and now we're getting purple instead of white. Yeah, that's pretty much what I expected. Now, in theory, if I use a more watery mix, it should be better. But is it? And will it dry opaque if I do? Probably not. And let's try, this is the Sakura. I'm going to get confused as to, this Sakura white's still wet, still really wet. Let's just see how opaque that Sakura White actually is since I have it out. Ooh, now using it thicker, it has lifted that green. But it's still nowhere near as streaky. That could be quite useful for doing background. Anyway, I'm too hot and I would like to wind up doing this now. Let's have a quick look at a couple of brushes on this paper, because that's really what this paper is designed for. And a pencil. Ooh, now show off my new pencil. This is a Pentel Graph Gear 1000 and I love it. It's a drafting pencil, so it's a mechanical pencil, but what makes it a drafting pencil is that metal, where are we, there, this metal tube that contains the lead means you can hold it up against a ruler without snapping the lead. But this one, obviously you extend the lead the way you normally would, and you can push it back in again. But if you click the end of the clip, it retracts that tube, look, so you are never going to break or bend that tube. If show up, you git. You're never going to break or bend that tube in your pencil case if you put it away properly. And it's got the usual rubber in the end and all the rest, but anyway, it's really nice, I like it. So this is just a standard HB core that it came with. That's very nice. The paper, I mean, the paper is very nice and smooth. How does it erase? Let's use the standard eraser that it comes with. Yep. That erases very nice and cleanly, and let's use this somewhat grotty kneaded eraser. Kneaded eraser. I did go a bit hard on that paper there. Yeah, not too hard. Yep. Nice. And where did I put... I was waving a Sakura pen around. What did I do with it? Where did I put it? Someone tell me. I don't think that these are particularly airtight either. They might feel like they clip on really well, but just in the 2 days that a couple of those pans have been open for, I've noticed them drying out much more so than my posh gouaches in these. Let's have a look. I expect them to have gone a little bit crusty on the top because I haven't opened these for weeks, but I don't expect that these will have dried out. And they have not. Nope. I will give... Oh, I can't give them a squirt because I've thrown the bottle of squirty on the floor. Do that later. Let's pop that away. Tidy up when we finish playing. We can have a look with my fountain pen that I did got it the other day. I like this. This is a really cheap fountain pen. This is a Keiko, which I seem to have spilt water on, and this came from the journal shop, I think. And it was like £7.50. I haven't picked this up for several hours, and it is still, in fact this is the first time I've written with this today, and it is still, starts straight away. Absolutely love it, and that is a super, that is an extra fine nib to me, and that's really nice. How's it bled through that paper? I can't remember what ink's in here. I ink them up, I try to make a mental note of what I've inked them up with, and then I promptly forget. And also, surprisingly for a cheap pen, it came with a converter in it. Do any of these still? Nope, that one won't because it's empty. Yeah, see, normally if you've left a fountain pen sitting without using it for a while, this is what you get. It's possibly partly empty. That might be why. Yeah, that'll be why, because it's empty. Look at that. This is the problem with collecting fountain pens. If you do not use them and you keep them inked up, they will clog up and they will dry up. I really wish I knew what I'd done with that pen. I put it out of the way. Tidy, you know. And now it's gone. The fairies have took it. Right, well, just imagine that this is a Sakura pen and not a Uniball. Yeah, that's nice. The paper's smooth. I don't know if you can hear that. But it still has enough texture that you can feel it. It hasn't got that really bizarre texture of drawing on something that is so smooth. It feels slick and weird. Yeah, I like that. That's nice. Oh, I draw a little tree. Anyway, if there's anything you want to see me try, play with, get hold of, let me know. I mean, if I can't get hold of it, I'll just say so. Nothing crazy expensive because nobody gives me free stuff. As I said the other day, frankly, I'm not sure that I want them to, because I want to be able to be completely honest about a product. And I would not like to be beholden to a company to say what they want me to say. And make no bones about it, the people that are given stuff for free, the people that get all of the really, really fancy, expensive stuff, very, very few of them are free to give their own honest opinion. Yeah? And the ones that are will make some sort of disclaimer or statement at the beginning of their video or at the end or in the description. Very few companies will allow people to do that, and the ones that do are the ones that have got the utmost confidence in their product. Yeah, there's... I don't know about dodgy products, but there are certainly some companies that, in my opinion, are misleading. And what have I done with it? I was going to show my... I got an Etcher mini pocket palette, the plastic one, the other day, only because I got it from Jackson's on the discount shelf, because the magnets had fell out, which appears to be a common problem with that item. So I think it was 10 quid instead of being 40 something quid. And I've looked at Etcher a lot, and some of their products seem quite interesting, but they seem to trade mainly on selling mystery boxes. And the first few ones I saw from a year or so back looked quite good, and it looked like you got quite a lot more product in the box than the price of the box. But most recently, people seem to have been getting boxes that have got half the value of it in product terms of what they've paid for it. And they have checked with Etcher that was what was intended to be in their box, and Etcher have agreed, yes, that was what was meant to be in the box. So I'm thinking of one lady that got 2 A5 sketchbooks, and she'd paid 180 Australian dollars. And 2 A5 sketchbooks on Etcher do not cost 180 Australian dollars. And she double checked that was what was meant to be in the box, and it was. So, you know, unless I have been given duff information there, I don't know. I think they're trading on people's FOMO, their curiosity to get hold of a surprise. But I don't know. I did look at the latest box, and it says it's curated according to what you've bought from Etcher in the past. Well, I've not actually bought anything direct from Etcher in the past. All I've had is some washi tape, which admittedly was really nice washi tape, and they don't do it anymore. And as I say, the mini pocket palette, both of which I got from Jackson's. So I don't know, but also the fact that they're selling these mystery boxes, and they'll sell you, say, like the June box, and then they won't actually start shipping it till August. That just seems a bit... I thought mystery boxes were meant to be where shops were getting rid of old stock. So you were getting quite a good range of stuff, and more stuff, you know, a higher value of product than the price of the box. And so everybody wins that way. You get a bunch of stuff, and they haven't got old stock clogging up the shelves. But I don't think that's what Etcher are doing. I think Etcher are only ordering in the stock when they've sold a whole bunch of boxes. Which, I don't know, there's just something that doesn't quite... you know, if you're happy with it and you like their products, then good for you. But it doesn't seem right to me. No, I don't like it. Anyway, on that grumpy note, go off, be happy, try to cool down if you're in the UK, make lots of art, fight the patriarchy, butter both sides of your sandwiches, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Toodaloo.